Jujutsu Kaisen's Culling Games arc is brutal. Way more brutal than Shibuya. Yuji vs Higuruma was just a warm-up. It was Yuji Itadori's brief moment to shine before Gege put him to the side in preparation for a merciless and all-out war between the strongest sorcerers of today and the strongest sorcerers in history. Megumi Fushiguro, Yuta Okotsu, Kinji Hikari, Maki Zenin, and Yuki Tsukumo. All of them are absolute monsters, 4 of whom were personally trained by the strongest sorcerer of the modern age, Satoru Gojo. And unlike Yuji Itadori, none of them will hesitate to put anybody who opposes them 6 feet under in the blink of an eye, as strongly demonstrated by the fight that comes directly after Yuji and Higuruma's, which is of course Megumi Fushiguro versus Reggie Star. Megumi's lackluster ending spoiled its character for many people, myself included, but there is no denying that his generational performance in the Culling Games will result in him just low-key running Season 3 when it finally airs. So as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the membership options, and let's get straight into why Megumi Fushiguro will actually just run Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3. From the second Megumi entered Tokyo Colony number 2 and was split up from Yuji, he made it very clear to the readers that he was just not messing around. Grade 5 bum Remy tried and failed in seducing Megumi in order to lure him to Reggie Star's base. Well, I guess she did succeed in luring him there, but only because she said that Higuruma was there and not because he was fooled by her false charms. Megumi is not there to mess around. He hasn't got time to waste on sparing people the way that Yuji does. He makes it blatantly obvious from the get-go. If somebody gets in his way, no matter who they are or how flirtatious they get, he will strike them down without a second thought if need be. Fortunately, he actually stands on business and doesn't shy away from a single opponent he faces, even when he finds himself in a 1 versus 4 against Reggie and his goons, which I can't lie was just crazy aura. One of the most underrated and forgotten things about this fight is just the crazy amount of aura farming that actually gets done, and I'll be honest, it's mostly by Megumi. I'll get into this idea a bit more later, but from the second he confronts Reggie, Megumi starts channeling his inner Aizen, and he stays that way for the rest of the fight. It's very cool. I mean, Remy should have been way more scared of even being near Megumi, because the gap in their strength was so big that she practically poops herself once he reveals his power and Reggie compliments him for being so strong. So strong that Reggie actually then tries to recruit him, but obviously Megumi has other plans. Yeah, even after seeing Reggie take down Divine Dog in a single attack, the same Divine Dog that was tearing up Hanami, by the way, he still wanted the smoke with Reggie and his whole gang. The second Megumi rejected Reggie's offer, one of his allies tried to sneak Megumi Toji style, but before anyone had a chance to process what happened, Megumi dipped into his shadow and then straight up threw the sorcerer right over the edge of the balcony like he's in Cobra Kai. I mean, bro clearly learned how to aura farm from the best of the best, because he even finishes this move off with a reverse tact and not a shred of remorse. Tacto. After beating this supposedly fodder sorcerer though, Megumi freezes for a split second and sees an eyeball fall from one of the floors above him. We then get to see Gege's incredible ability to introduce new characters yet again, as the eyeball just straight up explodes, and one of Jujutsu Kaisen's most criminally underrated sorcerers of all time then enters the battle, Iori Hazanoki. After Megumi narrowly avoids the blast, Reggie and Hazanoki then just kind of sit there and act all nonchalant for a bit while Remy does her best Tanjiro impression. Honestly though, Remy can cry and beg for sympathy all she wants, because Megumi simply does not care and pretty much just tells her to get a job and grow up. The grade 9 sorcerer that Megumi threw off the balcony then turns back up, thinking, well, he's gonna do something, but little did he know he probably chose the worst possible time to pull a stunt like this, because before either of them could make a move, Kogane appears to declare that a new rule was added to the Culling Games, a rule allowing the transfer of points between players. And that is when, for the first time since the end of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, we see Megumi Fushiguro smile. He smiles knowing that his friend Yuji Itadori had successfully subdued Hiromi Higuruma. That rule is all Megumi needed to be able to save his sister Sumaki. As far as he was concerned, that was his end goal, which means he no longer needs any of these sorcerer's points. It means he no longer needs to hold back and save their lives, which is something he makes abundantly clear when he immediately locks the hell in and decimates the fodder sorcerer. And when I say decimate, like I mean it. Bro lands a clean Uruma Washigiri to the face, blasts him out of the building with Nue, and delivers a brutal finishing blow with his sword. And with that, Megumi Fushiguro was awarded his first 5 points in the Culling Games. His mission was complete. Anyone who tried to challenge Megumi from this point onwards would be facing off against his full strength, which, despite popular belief, is a hell of a lot more than anything he had to show us in Season 1 or even Season 2. When I say he channels his inner Aizen, I really mean it, in more ways than one, because it's not just the aura farming. Megumi was a step ahead of Reggie throughout the entire fight, and as I will cover much more deeply in just a second, he even has an awesome "it was all part of my plan" moment in the climax of the battle. The entire Tokyo Colony fight was a testament to how much Megumi has reflected on himself and grown as a sorcerer ever since getting that lecture from Gojo about believing in his own ability to win. It's also a testament to his overly cautious and skeptical nature. Like, seriously, this dude doubts everything and everyone. I mean, he low-key strikes me as the kind of guy to use the link at the top of this video's description to get up to 72% off on NordVPN. Okay, guilty, you got me. Channel is now supported by... Hey, don't even think about commenting on the outfit, alright? I'm nearly homeless at this point. Yeah, I'm now supported by NordVPN, which means you can go to the link at the top of the description right now for 72% off and an Amazon gift card. 72%! I'm a personal user of the product, have been for many years, so I genuinely feel comfortable promoting it. It's a great way to stay safe online, there are so many threats out there, and it's also great for just exploring and streaming your favorite anime and shows from anywhere in the world. Good way of supporting me, make me look a little bit less homeless. Go check that out now. I'm gonna get back to the video before my retention gets the Gojo treatment. As I was saying, Megumi's growth and development as a sorcerer is explored the most during his Culling Games fight against incarnated sorcerer Reggie Star, but for some reason it kind of just all goes under the radar, and I'm not really sure. Well, actually, okay, I do know why. It's because the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen decided to butcher Megumi's entire character, which of course completely overshadowed literally everything else Megumi ever does in the whole series. And that's why I want you to forget about Megumi's conclusion and focus solely on his growth, his individual growth as a sorcerer during this fight against Reggie specifically. I'm not gonna go into Takaba versus Hazanoki too much during this video, despite that fight also happening at the same time, because it doesn't really serve any purpose other than to just bring Hazanoki away from Megumi's 1v1. But I do just have to very quickly point out that anyone who previously thought Takaba was not a violent combatant was dead wrong. I went back and reread this whole fight for the video, and like, god damn, bro was putting the moves on Hazanoki. I mean, he even hit him with the Kakashi special. Anyway, back to the fatherless bum versus the old age pensioner. From the very first time Megumi saw Reggie summon kitchen knives, he had already worked out what his technique was: contract recreation. It allows Reggie to bring anything on his receipts into reality and issue them one command like you would a Shikigami. Now, knowing this, Megumi's first move was to actually use Max Elephant's water to make the receipts all wet and unusable. You know when you get like your paper wet, or like you spill water on something you're writing and it goes all like mushy and... Oh, I don't need to explain this to you, you smart people. Kind of. Anyway, not only is the entire interaction a huge testament to Megumi's genius and battle IQ, but it also highlights his growth in skill, since he manifested Max Elephant alongside other Shikigami at the same time, which is something he was not previously able to do due to how much cursed energy that Max Elephant takes up. Unlike us readers, who also kind of just decided Reggie is a bum because of how goofy he looks and how nonsensical his technique is, Megumi actually did acknowledge Reggie for his strength and vice versa, which I've got to admit kind of shocked me a bit because I also thought they were both just grade 2 bums, but after really, deeping it and rereading this fight, Reggie is just a very strong opponent with some insane cursed oh damn, way to kill the mood. Yeah, Megumi actually did acknowledge Reggie for his... No, that's the wrong sentence. Oh, I'm properly losing it, goddamn. Sorry. Reggie is a very strong opponent with insane cursed energy basics and a nasty technique. He can literally bring anything into reality provided that he has a receipt for it. It's a highly versatile and very unpredictable technique, made even more scary when you learn that Reggie can issue a command which controls the manifested object's behavior. The fact that Megumi actually won this fight is low-key very impressive. I think we have collectively gotten used to clowning on this fight because of Megumi's conclusion and because of Reggie's dumb JoJo's-like design. But honestly, it's my only criticism of the fight. I think the only problem with it is that Reggie should have looked a lot more threatening than he was. A goofy-looking opponent like him conflicts a little bit too much with Megumi's dark and grueling aura. The actual method of combat which Gege chose for these two, though, makes everything worth it, because I forgot how unbelievably hype some of the moments between these two were, and I honestly think it is going to be an at least top 3 fight in Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3. I mean, sure, they throw hands conventionally a little bit early on, and at some point Megumi gets Reggie's manky foot slammed into his face. But the moment Megumi unleashes his trump card, no, not that trump card, from the moment Megumi unleashes his other trump card, the battle becomes 10 times cooler. After luring Reggie into a sports hall, Megumi then unleashes his domain expansion. As soon as those two words escape from Megumi's mouth, you can see Reggie quite literally poo himself. He is simply in awe that Megumi is on that level, a detail which I really appreciated because it often goes overlooked just how rare having a domain is and how much skill it actually takes. The problem with domains in JJK is similar to the Bankai problem in Bleach. Once the story reaches a certain point, you mainly focus on the strongest characters in the series, most of which will have a Bankai or domain respectively. This creates the illusion that having a domain or a Bankai is much more common than it actually is, but to a high grade 1 level sorcerer like Reggie Star, achieving such heights seems almost impossible. Being from the past, Reggie pulls out a hollow wicker basket, but soon realizes that it was a waste of time and cursed energy, since Megumi's domain is incomplete and has not got a sure hit. It doesn't matter in the slightest though, because the insane heights that a domain can boost a technique like Megumi's to is nearly as dangerous as a sure hit itself. There are also a bunch of references to other manga in this fight too, which I think is very cool. First of all, there are multiple shadow clones that just batter Reggie to a pulp. We then get told that Megumi's shadows are like a liquid which Reggie must reinforce his feet with cursed energy with in order to stand on, just like in Naruto and with chakra. And then finally, there is Gege's chosen method of combat for the rest of the fight. It becomes a battle of pure spiritual pressure alone. Okay, not literally, but the effect is close enough because Reggie soon realizes that Megumi must actually bear the weight of anything in his shadow, and since his entire domain is the shadow, he starts to overload it with weight, starting with 3 whole cars weighing in at 2.4 tons. In an amazingly awesome panel, we see Megumi collapse under the pressure, or at least it looks like he does, but Gege then reveals it's a deliberate decision by Megumi to distribute his weight and prevent blood from pooling in his feet, once again exercising his monumental battle IQ. Bro then locks in and drops a whole ass 3 to 6 ton elephant on Reggie, who shatters his leg but surprisingly has actually managed to catch it and hold it up. And this is what I mean by an awesome battle. They're just piling weight onto each other to see who can last the longest. That is before Reggie reveals his trump card, and a whole ass 30 ton house comes crashing through the ceiling. Like I've been saying from the very beginning though, Megumi has just been a step ahead this entire fight. Right before the house even hit them, he grabbed onto Reggie. The house then caused them all to crash through the floor and into the sports center swimming pool, which was waiting below them, exactly as Megumi had planned when he entered the building. He held Reggie underwater until all of his receipts were soaking wet, and until Megumi could buy as much time as possible in order for his burnt out technique to replenish. And due to the weight from all the cars bearing down on both of them, Reggie had no hope of resurfacing without expelling his cars from Megumi's shadows, who had also expelled his domain expansion. When they finally both resurfaced, Reggie acknowledged that Megumi had been a step ahead of him for quite a while now. He outwardly claimed that it was now a hand-to-hand fight where neither of them can use their abilities, but secretly Reggie did believe that Megumi could still summon any Shikigami other than the dog that he killed earlier. But you see, this is where Reggie properly messed up, and it's why I said Megumi was really in his Eisenbag for this entire fight, because ultimately Reggie was just still wrong. Megumi was not a step ahead of Reggie at all. He had been 2 steps ahead of Reggie since the very second that they had met. So in one final strike, Divine Dog, which Megumi had been saving all the way since the beginning of the fight, returned from its nap and laid Reggie down to rest for good. The insanely underrated art, the paneling, the methods of combat used by Gege throughout this fight, these things are the main reason why I think this fight will blow up the internet when Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 eventually drops. There really aren't as many fights in the series as gritty and inventive as this one, plus the anime-onlys actually like Megumi a lot more than the manga readers do, for some, obvious reasons, so I think it will be huge. However, hype moments and aura is not the main reason why I like this fight. I like this fight because it is one of the only moments in the entire manga where we actually see some solid growth and development from Megumi. Before this, if Megumi faced an opponent stronger than him, he would not hesitate to simply give up his life to summon Maharaga and call it a draw. But after Gojo's pep talk about how Megumi should fight to win even when he can't necessarily see a way forward, he started to reflect on himself and try to work towards that. We see it against the second finger bearer, where Megumi initially wants to summon Maharaga, but decides instead to heed Gojo's words and create his own path to victory, which led to the creation of his domain expansion. In this fight against Reggie though, there is no hesitation at all. He never doubts himself or even thinks about summoning Maharaga for even a second when faced with a potential 1v4 against Reggie and his squad. That is because Megumi actually utilized his genius IQ, he utilized his technique properly, and he utilized his experience, all to create a path to victory from the very beginning of the fight. The reason why this full circle development of Megumi's mindset goes so underappreciated though, is because he instantly regresses the moment that Sukuna rears his ugly head later on. Okay, sure, I understand that trying to instantly summon Maharaga again later on is a great way to show just how terrifying Sukuna is, but it really does hurt Megumi's personal journey at the same time, which is made even worse when you look at his ending. The upsetting thing about Megumi is that his development was ultimately completely inconsequential. It had no purpose, it leads nowhere. There was no final payoff, it just happened passively. And that's the reason why no one acknowledges it and everyone forgets it. It just wasn't relevant. Despite not being my favorite fight though, Megumi vs Reggie in isolation was insanely well executed and definitely a hidden gem yet to be uncovered by Season 3 of the Jujutsu Kaisen anime adaptation. Which of course means the next fight I am going to cover in this series is the big one. The one which will carry the Jujutsu Kaisen anime and my glazing abilities to completely new heights. It is of course Yuta Okkotsu's generational run in Sendai Colony. But before that, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, again, check the link in the description for 72% off NordVPN. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in a bit. That took way more takes than I would ever like to admit. NordVPN, you are so lucky I like your product because, oh my God, that drove me crazy trying to record that properly. I'm losing my mind here. Also, shut up about the outfit. It's a bit. Obviously, it's a bit. I don't walk around outside wearing this. Anyway, yeah, just remember, all right? Remember to go. The link. Good way of supporting me. Good way of staying safe online. Loads of good benefits. 72% off. Have I said it enough? Go bloody do it. Go do it.